So I have Olie Web with me here today. We had the opportunity to meet each other on a horticultural tour of South Africa 2 years ago. And I learned then that Olie is a wealth of information on horticulture and plants of this area. So I am here to interview him today.
Well, I have been gardening since the early 60s when I lived in apartments before then, so there wasn't any opportunity to do any gardening, but I came by it honestly. My father was a great gardener. When he was, I think, 87 years old, he wrote me and told me he must be slowing down because he only had 42 types of vegetables in his garden this year. And then finally I began to evolve from vegetable gardening to flower gardening, and particularly with the emphasis on native species. So I do have a triple garden on the north side of my home. One is a scree garden where I grow rock alpine species. One is a prairie area where I grow native prairie species and foothills species. And a third area I grow something over 40 native species of shrubs from Colorado.
I wondered how you would describe your soil that you work with, the native soil here.
It's clay gumbo, and I don't enhance my soil except in my perennial beds, but the scree bed and the prairie and the shrub bed is native clay soils. A lot of it's probably backfill from construction when the house was built back in the 50s. So it's I enhance it by putting on, about every other year, I put on a layer of mulch from my compost beds. I spread it out, and it disappears pretty fast because I got plenty of earthworms around to take care of it. And but that keeps them going. I don't use fertilizers of any kind. I don't use any kind of pesticides except soapy water and sometimes a little alcohol on stubborn aphids. That's about all I use. Black-eyed Susan is one of the grand plants of all time, particularly when it's grown in a thick bed of maybe 20 or 30 plants. It's spectacular. And I found a plant that I really particularly like is Angelonia. And there are many varieties now coming out on the market, and they're so easy. I collect seeds and I start them from seed, and they are spectacular bloomers, and they do wonderfully well in big pots. Actually, the term xeriscape has been improperly applied to a lot of situations, and because people don't understand what xeriscape really means. Xeriscaping merely means a low water demand situation, and that's all it means. It doesn't mean it's a gravel bed, it doesn't mean it's a rockery. It merely means that you're combining plants that require less water than the run-of-the-mill plants.
Great. Well, thanks for talking to us today, Olie.
My pleasure. Absolutely, my pleasure.